Morning.
It's the way Singapore wakes up.
Wake up.
Glenn, Angel, and the Flying Dutchman.
Wake up in the morning feeling like
Kiss 92's Big Show.
Good morning, Singapore, and welcome to the biggest and best breakfast show in the world. We are the Big Show, Glenn, Angel, and the Flying Dutchman. And as you know, every Tuesday we have the lovely Dr. Geraldine Tan joining us. Today she is in the studio with a couple of friends. We'd like to introduce Shannon Heo, president of MSSS. She is also a veterinarian, mother of 3, and a passionate patient advocate of multiple sclerosis. We also have Michael Boscoscuro. I hope I pronounced your surname correctly. He is the treasurer at MSSS. Michael is deeply committed and passionate about helping people with MS, starting his efforts in his home country of Australia and continuing this in Singapore. He lives by the motto that whilst MS is part of him, it will never define his life. Welcome.
Correct.
Welcome to all 3 of you for coming in. Now, just to clarify that MSSS stands for Multiple Sclerosis Society Singapore. So I guess we could ask first, Dr. Jerry, why we're spotlighting multiple sclerosis today.
Yeah, because we have a lot of different chronic diseases, and we haven't really talked about the chronic diseases, So I thought I wanted to share a little bit about chronic diseases, the impact on mental health, and my friends here are saying we're going to come forward and talk about, MS and share about our experiences, which I thought was really nice.
Of course. Michael, maybe you'd like to tell us a little bit more about MS, which is multiple sclerosis.
Yeah, so... apologies.
No worries.
So multiple sclerosis is a disease of the central nervous system, an autoimmune disease. It attacks the brain and the spinal cord. It's known as the mystery disease, so there's no known cause, there's no known cure. Symptoms can range from tremors to balance to cognitive problems, eyesight issues. The average age of diagnosis is between 20 and 40, I think. 2/3 of the population are with women. So young women starting their careers, starting their families. And so it's a disease that I've lived with now for about 20 or so years. And I'm trying to do, and being part of the MS Society of Singapore with our president here, Shannon, and our committee are trying to do the best we can to raise the profile about MS and really trying to increase really the education, advocacy, what are our 3? Empowerment, advocacy and empowerment for MS people with MS in Singapore. So it's a keen interest of mine.
Okay.
So is it a condition someone is born with?
No. So generally, I mean, you can get MS if you're a baby. There are those cases. But generally, like for me, for example, it came out of the blue. I was just 18 years of age, going through my final years of high school back in Australia, and it just came out of nowhere. So it really has no rhyme or reason why it impacts different people and why it comes into someone's life. There are obviously things like medical, like family history, and other maybe predetermining factors that might indicate MS could come into someone's life, but it's really, that's why doctors, it's the mystery disease in many ways. There's no real reason why someone gets it. So that's one of the key areas that they're trying to research into to try and find a cure. Ultimately is really the end goal of, I guess, researchers and doctors. So yes,
Okay.
big space.
Well, thank you so much for being here with us today. Shannon, you are the president of the Multiple Sclerosis Society of Singapore. Can you tell us expand a little bit more on what Michael already shared?
Okay, so I just wanted to add that we are a very young society. We only got registered with ROS this year in March 2024. So we are kind of like the baby society with all the other societies. So the reason why we formed this society is because we wanted, like Michael said, our mission statement is actually empower, advocate, and educate. Okay, so these 3 key areas. So the reason why we formed this society, actually it's multi-factor, but before us, there was only a support group called MS Care that mainly, I guess, organized like social events and gatherings for the MS patients, but there was no, I guess, structured network or information that would link, I guess, the patients, healthcare personnel, caregivers, and all that together. And then one of our excos, Molly, hello Molly. So she came here from America, and then when she was relocating, she said that she could not find any information on MS. Like, so if somebody was diagnosed and they went to Google about MS in Singapore, you would basically get nothing except like some weird articles, I think. So, she said I was one of the weird articles. So basically no structured information or any platform for exchange of information. So that was why we set up the society.
Okay. All right, let's continue this conversation on the Big Show TV, shall we? Meantime, here's Mimi Webb on Kiss 92.
So, Dr. Jerry, carry on, Effie.
So, Jerry, these chronic illnesses, they weigh heavy on the mind.
They do. So the chronic illness, it can strike anytime. Like, what Shannon and Michael shared, between 20 to 40 years old. So the average age that the MS is being diagnosed is about 31 years old. Averagely, but if we talk about chronic illnesses, it can strike anyone at any time, and it doesn't discriminate, who you are, where you come from, and which SES you belong to. So the suddenness is very shocking, and that it has to be prolonged because chronic diseases are prolonged more than 3 months, and then it goes on, right? You realize, is there a recovery? Is there not a recovery? And the word chronic means you can only manage it. You cannot, there's no cure, for it. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, so that uncertainty weighs on the mind. So that sudden diagnosis, you feel like you're being slapped with something. It really is shocking, frustrating, because you don't know which direction to go. I think Molly made a very good point, that sometimes reading materials or materials out there might not be enough, or it might be absent. So that's why we are trying to bring light to it also. Yeah, so that also brings a lot of worries, because too much reading material, you over intellectualize, but too little, you also find that I don't know what to go, I don't know how to move forward with my illness. I don't know what to do with my illness.
So you were talking about chronic illnesses. Obviously, multiple sclerosis is one of them. What other illnesses could there be in terms of chronic illnesses?
So there is your diabetes, even eczema, your asthma that children, we see in children. Adults continue to have it, it gets flat up. But I actually want to bring some awareness. Our Ministry of Health actually has a chronic disease management program, and it covers 23 chronic diseases. So it's listed out there, diabetes being one of them, hypertension, stroke, the schizophrenia. Depression is also under that. So depression is a chronic illness, is a chronic condition also. So many people don't know that. And many times with other chronic diseases, depression is the number one comorbid disease that comes together with it. Shannon and Michael can attest to it. Yes. You want to share a little bit more?
Because you're a survivor of MS, am I right? It says thriver. What's a thriver?
It means surviving and thriving.
Surviving and thriving.
Nice.
Okay.
Oh, you had MS?
I have.
Oh, you
you have MS?
Yes. So they're invisible, so people cannot tell.
There are different grades of it. If I could use the word grades.
I mean, this is good that we're learning more about MS today, because I think for most people, which is why I asked Michael the question earlier on, right? I mean, are people born with MS? Because I have a very strong feeling that a number of people who are watching us right now probably thought so. Like, you've got to be born with
Yeah.
this chronic illness.
Could some people be living with it and not know it?
Yes.
Yes, for sure.
Yes.
Okay,
How?
so
How is that?
when did you find out, Shannon? And how did you find out?
I found out when it was 14 years ago, so 2010. I suffered a fall in the bathroom, so I felt like giddy and I fell. So I went to the ER, the A&E, but they said, oh, it's likely because you're stressed or something. So that was the first episode. The second episode was because MS is such that with the lesion so-called in the brain, it sort of messes with our, I guess, motor function or cognitive function. So if I may, the analogy that I was told is that the signals come down. It's like you put on a rubber hose to a tap, but there are holes on the rubber hose. So when you turn on the water, the water leaks out. So similar to what I guess MS patients feel, the signals in the brain, but when it sort of transfers down to your limbs or other parts of your body, it just does not work because the signal doesn't get fully transmitted.
I see.
Right.
Okay, just let us go back on air.
You'll be left in the dust unless I stuck by you. You're the sunflower. You're the sunflower.
Kiss 92 traffic.
On the CTE towards the AYE after the Ang Mo Kio Avenue 5 exit, look out for an accident causing a backup all the way to Yio Chu Kang Road's exit. Avoid lane 2 if you have to take that stretch. Also on the PIE towards Tuas after the BKE, a vehicle's broken down. Avoid lane 3. Wherever you are this morning, stay safe.
Good morning and welcome back to The Big Show and The Big Show TV. Our guests for today, accompanying Dr. Geraldine Tan in the studio, is Shannon, president of the Multiple Sclerosis Society of Singapore, as well as Michael, who's the treasurer at MSSS. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
So, Shannon, we were just talking to you on The Big Show TV, and you are a survivor. So, can you explain a little bit more for someone listening on radio what you classify as a survivor of MS as?
So a survivor, if you break down the word surviving and thriving, so at least that's what I like to think that I am.
Survivor.
So I like it.
Survivor. So I am a survivor, I feel, because I have moved past the grieving stage of being diagnosed, and I have crudely speaking, like risen above my circumstances and trying my best to not just live with the disease, but also to, I guess, help the people around me or the local community that has, MS. Yeah.
Well, Michael as well is certainly a survivor.
Survivor as
Can we speak
well.
to Michael again? Could you pass him the microphone? So, Michael, when you were diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, you mentioned at the age of
18.
18.
Yes.
What went through your mind at that point?
Yeah, I think for me, my diagnosis was a roller coaster. It effectively started in, is it clear?
Don't worry.
I think June 2003. I had a numb left thumb, and that spread to my hand, my arm. Then the next 9 months, I was basically in and out of hospital, basically getting better, getting worse. And then about 9 months later, or maybe a year later, actually in June 2004, I had a brainstem attack, which basically meant that my whole body was knocked out. So I couldn't walk, I couldn't talk, I couldn't breathe properly.
Oh dear.
And I think at that period of my life, I was probably, and I reflect on it now, it's hard to know what I was thinking. It just happened so quickly. My life had been transformed from being a pretty regular 18, 17-year-old kid, going through high school, playing sport, working a part-time job. And then this came into my life and I didn't know what it meant. Would I be able to go to university? Would I be able to work? Would I be able to live? So I think at that period in my time, my parents particularly and my family and I guess friendship support groups were, I can't thank them enough really, because why I'm here today is really because of them. I think they helped me in terms of my that mental health, for example. I think they gave me the resolve to help push through it, to I guess keep striving for the stars. And like Shannon shared, and like I think I shared in my MS is a part of me, but it won't define me. And I think it won't if we have the right attitude and the right mindset, we can achieve anything, and I truly believe that. And so I think no matter what gets thrown in your way, there is a way through it. And I think in the tough times, it's just trying to find that resolve within yourself, to be able to find that strength. And there is light, I think, at the end of the tunnel. So I think, yeah.
I respect you so much,
That's
Michael.
Yeah.
You're so
incredible.
strong.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Jerry, so I mean, how would you basically define Michael right now based on his strength? I mean, I'm sure you have seen some people who would be totally devastated by a diagnosis like that.
In truth, I've not seen them, when they were just diagnosed. But if you hear what they're saying, they go through the grief stages also.
Yeah.
Because they need to grieve for the life that they have known before, for the life they had planned ahead, and then to rewrite their own narrative, which is not easy. So they have to go through that grief stages. They ask why me, what's going on with me, who will be there for me, will I live the way that I want, and how do I rewrite this journey for myself. So it is actually a period of time. So I've only caught them, at somewhere in between.
But it's so amazing that he had his family and friends,
Yes.
right, Michael, who
Yes.
supported
Yeah.
you
Yes.
greatly. You did not see a psychologist.
At
that time.
At that point, I didn't. I think it was all too fresh in a way. Like, what did it mean? Like,
Yeah.
literally, I kind of probably couldn't comprehend or process it. And I think until I got out and I got a bit better, I started going to university, then I got a job that really helped me
Yep.
in terms of finding, I guess, where my direction in life. And, since then, I've got an employment, I've moved out of home, moved overseas. I travel a lot as well. So I've been really fortunate. I think my MS was really bad 20 years ago. But now I think I've been really fortunate to be pretty stable. I didn't mention before, MS is very much a up and down disease. So you get sick, you get better. You get sick, better, sick, better, sick, better.
Oh.
That's the relapsing remitting is kind of the most common type of MS. And so I got relapsing remitting, but I've been pretty stable since 2004. So in that sense, very lucky. And I'm just trying to make the most of life, I think.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Let's continue to talk to Jerry, Shannon, and Michael on The Big Show TV. It's 8:22.
Kiss 92 Time Check brought to you by Putian. Enjoy the
Yeah, so I was just looking online, and there are 4 primary types of MS.
Yep.
So you were mentioning the relapsing remitting MS, and then there's the primary progressive, there's the secondary progressive, and the progressive relapsing MS. Which one is what you live with, Shannon? Oh, both. So what happens to you in your worst stage of relapsing remitting MS?
Okay, so during a relapse, so I had a relapse in April this year, and that was my worst ever in my 14 years of being diagnosed with MS. I lost about 80% of my vision, so I basically couldn't. I had like double vision. Everything was blur. I couldn't do the things like even regular things. I couldn't do the regular things, and then my left side half of my body was like not functioning, and then when I walk, I couldn't walk straight. I was just falling to the side. So when I was admitted into hospital, the doctors thought, okay, maybe this is an MS relapse or maybe it's stroke. So I had to be kept in the hospital for about a week before I got to
How long does a relapse like that last?
I think it depends, right, from person to person. Some are, they call it pseudo relapse, where it's not like a full-blown one, so it sort of goes away after a couple of days, but you get your symptoms exacerbated. But there are some where it's a little longer. The one that I had to go through, I needed to get steroid infusion for 5 days, but then the home recovery was about 2 months after that. So I couldn't work for 2 months, yeah.
Wow. Oh, learning a lot
So do
today.
you have to take regular medication for this?
Is there a medication? Like, do you...
There is, right?
Michael?
Yeah.
Yeah, so at the moment, myself and Shannon are on a 6-monthly infusion. So we'll go to the hospital. It's called Ocrevus. We'll go team verse. We'll go to the hospital, have a 1-day infusion. I guess with MS, the the kind of incredible thing is back in 2004 when I was diagnosed, there was probably maybe 3 medications available, which are generally daily infusions or weekly infusions. So you got to inject yourself with a interferon. Now there's probably, and don't quote me, but probably 10 to 15 medications available. And again, these medications don't cure or fix MS or fix what's being done. They basically help stop you getting worse. They cause disease-modifying therapies. And so now you can go from tablets, daily tablets, to what we're on, the bi-weekly infusion, monthly infusions. So I've been on, I think, chemotherapy, monthly infusions, daily tablets, now this one, and also injections. So there are a lot of options available, which is, I guess, shows medical science is a pretty incredible thing.
Right. Did you mention chemotherapy?
Yeah, so that because my onset was so rapid, and I guess back 20 years ago, my doctors hadn't seen a lot of that type of MS in such a young patient, and a male patient at that as well. And so I had a low-dose chemotherapy used for prostate cancer called mitoxantrone, and that basically was designed to, I guess, modulate my immune system. So with MS, basically what happens, your own immune system attacks the brain. So it mistakes your nerves or your nerve insulation as being a foreign invader. So the white blood cells attack that. And so the chemotherapy was designed to basically change the way that my immune system worked to therefore stop attacking the body. And I think myself, it was pretty effective at helping to change the course of my disease. So, but it's not commonly used. It's more for prostate cancer.
Okay.
So how many people in Singapore live with MS? Do you know the numbers? Or
It's about
more women, right, you say?
Yeah, two-thirds.
I believe it's about 300 people in Singapore.
300, okay.
But we are guessing that there's more. So I mean, from the nurses, they say that there's probably about 500 in Singapore, but maybe some undiagnosed cases. The ones that are known, I think it's only 300. And I believe that's only the data from restructured hospitals. We have not captured the ones from private hospitals.
Oh, right. Okay.
How good are the doctors in diagnosing MS? I'm serious with this question because there might be some people, who are experiencing these symptoms and they go and see a GP or
And they say
whatever,
it's a
and
stroke
they'll
or
just go
whatever.
like, no, we don't know.
We're not on air, right? Are we on air?
Of course we're on Oh, so it's true.
We will
So-
leave it to next week
Yeah,
because
when
we
we
have
leave
a doctor, a medical doctor that is
Okay.
coming
Only
on air.
because
Yeah, but that-
also.
yeah.
That medical doctor is probably, someone
Who knows.
Who knows. But what
Yeah.
I'm saying here is that, I'm just wondering how many doctors out there just,
No, I know what you're saying
You know what I
because
mean?
you
Yeah.
went into hospital at one time and you said they thought maybe it could have been a stroke. So are there MS situations where they are mistaken for strokes or vice versa?
I suppose that's why we work as a team. So I will jump in here
Yeah.
because I think whilst working, may I say it, Michael? I'm actually his therapist.
Oh, right, okay.
So I must ask for permission, but ask on air. It's
All good.
yeah, but I think there was a period of time that it was very difficult, remember, because you're feeling lethargic, there was a lot of other symptoms, and we weren't sure whether it was a relapse, it was a medication, the adverse effects of the medication, and thank goodness he had the community. So he had people to speak with, and he shared, you were conversing, and it was not, he was not going into a depressive state. He was not having, another disease, but it was just, I think it was the reaction of the medication, if I remember correctly. So that's why we really need to work as a team, and to identify all the different signs and symptoms. Yeah.
Okay, we'll continue to talk about it on air. Stand by.
Oh, we're not on air.
Let them know we on the way. Counting zeros every day. You know that we never play.
Kiss 92 traffic.
If you're on the AYE traveling towards the MCE right before the Portsdown Avenue exit, I beg your pardon, avoid lanes 2 and 3. An accident has been reported. Also on the PIE towards the airport after Toguan Road's exit, avoid lane 4. A vehicle's broken down. Finally, on the KPE towards the ECP after the airport road entrance, avoid lane 2. Yet another accident has been spotted. If you see anything else, it's 8855 0920.
Welcome back. Thank you very much for tuning in to The Big Show and The Big Show TV. Our guest for today is Dr. Geraldine Tan from the Therapy Room. And with her, we've got Shannon from the Multiple Sclerosis Society of Singapore, as well as Michael.
So we're talking about multiple sclerosis this morning. And I just want to find out from Michael or Shannon, how, because we're here to bring awareness to the society about this disease. How does society react to people with multiple sclerosis? I guess that's my question.
I'll start and maybe Shannon can add to my response. I think what we've tried to achieve here with the MS Society of Singapore, I think Shannon touched on it. In Singapore for probably 20 or so years, there's been support groups, mainly for social connection, which is really important, no doubt. And I think for me, it was incredibly important personally. But with the society, we're trying to educate, empower and advocate for people with MS in Singapore, be that in the community to create awareness like we're trying to do this morning, with government organisations, with other societies around the world as well, just so we have, I guess we give people with MS a voice when it comes to having conversations around health outcomes, policies, and what we can do to help improve their lives and I guess create that inclusiveness, I think. So I think it's a really important step we've taken, and like Shannon shared, we're a really young society. We're about 6 months old. We don't have many or any resources, to be honest, but we're just trying our best. I guess a group of motivated individuals to try and do what we can to help out people with MS here in Singapore. And I think for me, the key thing really is education. So it's really important.
Yeah, I feel as much as you're empowering the people living with MS, we need to empower the people living without it as well, with the awareness and the education of knowing how to handle situations that might come up.
Yeah, and help someone with multiple sclerosis out. Let's say you're out in public, and you see someone who has
and
MS.
Understand what they might be going through, or try to at least empathize.
Yeah. Shannon, is it okay for someone to approach someone with multiple sclerosis? Should they see that person, perhaps maybe having difficulty, doing something?
Yes, I think it's okay, but more often than not, a lot of us have invisible symptoms, and you can't really tell. Like Glenn asked me, do you have MS? That's quite a common question.
So like, what, really?
Like, do you have MS?
Shannon?
Are you sure? People doubt us. Because it's invisible. The symptoms are invisible. So that is why we are trying to create the awareness so that people will know that there are others, not just MS. There are other, I guess, invisible diseases, a chronic illness that needs to be. The reason why I mentioned doctor just now is because of late I've had people come up to me and tell me they feel this condition, but when they go and get themselves checked out, the doctors they say, oh, we can't find anything wrong with you.
Oh, they don't know what it is.
And sometimes I just feel really angry when I hear that, because they revisit these doctors. It's not like a one-time thing. They go for checks and all that, and still the doctors say
nothing.
We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know what's wrong with you. Yeah. And I think this day and age, that should not be.
Absolutely not.
There's a difference between what the two of you are saying. Like Angel said nothing. You say I don't know. And there's still a lot in the science of being a doctor that they don't know about.
Sure.
I'm sure what we knew about multiple sclerosis when you first had it and what we know now is completely different.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's a growing thing. But we've got a question from Maul on our Facebook page. What's the biggest challenge that you guys have faced?
Tell you what, hold that thought. We'll tackle that on the Big Show TV. Meantime, here's Khalid with Adore You on Kiss 92.
So Maul has asked the question on our Facebook page. What's the biggest challenge you faced? with
Anyone? Michael, Shannon,
Michael,
whoever
Shannon,
wants to take
whoever would
this.
like to take
I'll
that.
let them think first,
Okay.
you know. So I'll come from the medical
Side.
not medical,
Well, the
mental
health
health
side.
perspective. So I suppose we talk about inclusivity, you know, and I think when there is invisible, people love to give unwanted advice. Very annoying.
What's that?
Do yoga.
Do yoga.
Yeah. Did you eat well? Did you sleep well? Did you do this? Did you do that? You should
Yeah.
this, you should that. Oh my goodness. As if they know their bodies, right? But nobody else knows their bodies as well as the person themselves. So we need to respect that. So if we talk about inclusivity, you know, respect the other person and what they have done. Don't impose whatever that you think is the right thing onto them. You know, and the other part is if you can see and they are struggling, you know, please don't go and mock them. Or there are some people that are quite mean. I'm not sure if you have experienced that. Or, you know, lend a hand. I think at one point, maybe Michael had issues with drinking from a cup and he needed a straw. So, you know, then, okay, let's remember to hand him that straw, you know, so to facilitate that.
Yeah.
That helps with inclusivity. It's not big things, it's actually the small things.
But I mean, like, we don't want to assume that they need help as well sometimes. You know what I mean? That anyone needs help.
Yes,
Because someone may be like, I can manage it myself, or I want to do it myself.
Sure.
So what makes us, or what sign should we ask?
So a kind gesture never goes unnoticed. And if they don't need it, they will say, I don't need it.
Okay.
Right? But if, let's say, you do it condescendingly, oh, okay, then please don't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the intent is very important. And we all can feel it, you know, where it comes from a kind space or where it comes from a I look down on you space. Yeah.
Michael, you were only 18 when all this started happening to you. How long did it take the doctors to diagnose you with MS? Was it right away?
No. So it started in July 2003, and I got diagnosed, I think, in April 2004.
Okay.
So, but for MS, to be honest, that's a pretty quick diagnosis because my MS was so rapid in its onset and so debilitating. It became quite clear. But for MS, people with MS, they can take up to 5, 10, 20 years to get diagnosed.
Oh, what?
Because you'll have a blurry-eyed eye today, it'll go away next week, the doctor won't think anything of it. You go back to you have a numb hand in 5 years' time, you get an MRI scan and it might say there's been a few lesions in your brain. MRI scans are, you know, a way to diagnose and to view your brain. So it can take a long time to get diagnosed. So I think that's why, I mean, education I think is really critical to help with that in terms of diagnosis of the illness itself.
So that's why the relapse remitting, because it just goes, it comes, it goes, and comes.
Exactly. So it can be hard to diagnose. And I think in Singapore, it's not as seen as, you know, in Australia where I'm from, MS is very well known across society. MS Society in Australia is a big organisation and there's a lot of awareness and events to help raise awareness and raise fundraising for it. But in Singapore, like Shannon and Dr. Jerry shared, I think there's 300 to 500 patients, and so it's just not seen as commonly in hospitals or in doctors' surgeries, and so therefore I think doctors aren't probably as aware of MS compared to other countries, for example.
And they can't commit to that diagnosis either. They can't go like, you know, maybe you're coming down with MS. You can't say that either.
Is that what it is, coming down with it? I mean, is that the term that they use?
I'd say more diagnosed with it rather than coming down with it. I guess that for me is more of a flu. Kind of thing. So I'd say more, diagnosed.
Yeah. And Shannon, how long did it take you to get diagnosed?
Oh, then mine is pretty quick compared to you. I think mine was about 3 months. 3 months from the first onset of my symptoms. I think 3 to 4 months. I had to go through a few doctors, and they gave me a few diagnoses before that. Before I was diagnosed with MS, they thought I had brain lymphoma. They said it's malignant. It's
Oh wow!
So you had to go. I'm sure you had to go for an MRI and all that.
I went for an MRI, but they said it looked like a tumor in my brain. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Did they do a biopsy?
They wanted to, but I
Okay.
refused to.
Yeah,
Oh,
because
wow.
imagine.
When
Okay,
they say
yeah.
that, I said no. I think I need some time to think about it or a second opinion.
And that's when you went to different doctors?
Yes.
How many doctors, if you don't mind me asking, did you go to before you heard multiple sclerosis?
I think it was the third one.
Third doctor,
one.
okay.
Well, I mean, minus the ones at the ER. I mean, ER I went
Yeah.
there 2
Yeah.
times, so maybe like four, five doctors.
Wow.
And only
okay.
one doctor committed
To
and
MS.
said, you have MS.
Yes, and I think it's after also discussing with a team of, I guess, neurologists.
Hmm.
I'm sure you were quite frustrated at the start, right? I mean, seeing a doctor and, nothing, they don't know, and then you see another doctor and they can't tell you, and then finally.
Yeah. I mean, but that's crazy. I mean, a lot of other people who would have heard lymphoma and a tumor in the brain would have said biopsy straight away, because I need to know what this is. But you, in your gut, kind of said, no, I'm going to wait and seek another opinion.
Because I was told that it's malignant, and I feel like if it's malignant, I should have more signs than these.
Right.
So I trusted my
Your gut
feeling. And I
Yeah.
said, okay, I don't want to go for the biopsy. I want to consult more doctors before
Yeah.
I make the decision. Yeah.
Wow.
That's great.
Hard decision.
Wisdom.
Hard decision. Michael, I wanted to ask you earlier. I was going on this thread of you being 18 years old, and then you were diagnosed at 19, just after. How did that affect your teenage life? Your group of friends, the activities that you used to do. How hard was it on you?
Yeah, I think it was so. I didn't know what to think, to be honest. Like, my life had transformed like in a millisecond. And my family and friends, basically, which I think has been really important for my own life today, they just treated me like everyone else. So we still had fun together. We still went on holidays together. We went out together. I remember going to a nightclub with a walking stick one time in my hometown of Wollongong. Hi to those in Wollongong.
I've been to Wollongong. It's beautiful. It's such a great area.
Yeah, so I remember doing that, and that was I was really embarrassed, I would say, mentally.
Hold on, sorry.
Kiss 92 traffic.
All right, there are a couple of situations on the PIE towards the airport after Toguan Road's exit. We have a vehicle that's broken down in lane 4. Look out for that. And wherever you are this morning, stay safe.
We're back on The Big Show and The Big Show TV, and we've been speaking to Dr. Geraldine Tan. We've been speaking to Shannon as well as Michael. Shannon and Michael are from the Multiple Sclerosis Society of Singapore.
Yeah, and Michael, you were just sharing with us at the start of your multiple sclerosis diagnosis, of which you were about 19 years old, and how life changed for you. You can pick up where you left off.
Yeah, so it was really my family and friends who really were there for me. And so I wasn't there thinking about, I guess, getting down on myself and thinking, I'm disabled here, I can't do anything. I thought more because of the support they gave me, I can achieve anything. They made me believe that I'm just like them, I'm just like everyone else, and I can go to university, I can get a job, I can contribute, I can, achieve my dreams. And so I think through what they were able to give to me in terms of mental strength and that resilience and determination, I think, which I built through those years, you can't thank them enough. All of my mum and dad particularly, they were there from day one. Dad with me in hospital, mum taking me to, countless doctor's appointments, hospitals, rehabilitation. It was, and looking back now, like I said before, it's hard to, I guess that period in my life, it's really turbulent, but again, just that constant thread of my friends and family, and now my work colleagues as well, I think, have been the next, and university colleagues, things like that. And chartered accountants as well. I give a shout out to chartered accountants here in Singapore. It's been really important, I think, holistically, to make me feel like, MS, I don't think about MS on a daily basis. It's more what can I do? What can I achieve? What do I need to do? You know, I guess other life considerations and stresses. But MS for me is, it's there, but I'm just trying to live my life the best I can. And sorry, long answer, but
No, that's okay. We love the sharing.
Yeah, I mean,
Thank
we're only
you.
just getting to know you, Michael, but I can
Yeah.
already tell you've got a wonderful personality and a very strong mindset, and that's fantastic.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, it's also, if we hear what they are saying, right, I want to remind everybody having MS or having a chronic disease doesn't take away your cognitive abilities. So a lot of people mistake that, you know, and also it doesn't take away the social skills. So yes, emotions are impacted. Yes, maybe mobility is affected, but they have so many other qualities that we can tap on, and let's remember to tap on that.
And if you need an accountant, we know where to go.
Or if you need a vet, right?
Oh yes, you're a vet. I need to get your number because I have a golden retriever, so looking for a vet always.
Oh yeah, you're a vet.
She's a vet.
Let's talk a little bit
And a
more about
mother
that.
of 3.
Okay, let's
Mother of 3 what?
No. Oh my God.
Okay, Lizzo with Juice on Kiss 92.
Non-stop hit music all the time.
I get what he's saying because they're like fur kids as well. the
Exactly,
people.
right? Everyone treats their
pets,
pets
yeah.
like their children.
Where's
these days.
your vet? Where's your practice?
I'm not supposed to talk about
Oh, you're not. Okay, we'll talk off air then. We'll talk off.
How
air.
come you're not supposed to talk about that?
Who said?
It's a personal thing.
She said.
You don't mix both, is it? So, we'll give you another shirt. You put on that shirt, and then we can talk about you.
But
you as a vet.
you've got 3 kids. Do you mind me asking how old they are?
They are. See, I have to think.
Oh no.
I'm wondering if it's the cat. Okay. The cat is turning 1. Okay, I have the human ones are 7, 13, and 16.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and how are they dealing with your condition? I mean, they've grown up with it
Yes.
because it's always been there.
Yes.
Since they were born. Almost.
Oh yes, the eldest one had to go through like my relapses. He had to witness like me in the hospital, me coming back, not being able to walk, not being able to see. So I think he had the worst. He got the worst part of the deal. Yeah.
Okay.
Cherry, how do families handle this? I mean, we talk about people with multiple sclerosis and the emotions they go through. How do the families handle this?
They too also grieve. I think if you ask, Shannon and Michael, the family goes through that grieving process.
I mean, of
also.
course, right? They feel sad.
Yeah. And having to find their footing, it's not just a one-person issue. It's actually the family issue. Yeah, and to then the number of appointments that you need to go for is insane. So when you have you're diagnosed with something, the number of times you have to go, you subject yourself to the waiting for the results. Yeah, so everybody is in this together, not just one person. So the support becomes very important also. Yeah. So the recovery or that whole process, it's everyone in it together. So no one leaves anyone behind.
Yeah.
Sounds like soccer, no.
But this once again, reinforces the fact that mental well-being is so
Important.
very
It is,
important.
it is.
Yeah.
Because once you're well, you're healthy, you're strong up here, you can handle anything.
Well, it is difficult, Why we want to bring light also is because 1/3 of the people who are suffering from chronic diseases also have either depression or anxiety. Yeah, so sometimes the family needs to go through both of the diseases, and it is very trying to deal with one disease and then you have to deal with both diseases. Yeah.
Did either of you also go through that, like anxiety and depression, after you got diagnosed with MS?
Yes. So I guess most of us, or maybe I'm speaking for myself, I also have to see like the psychiatrist and the psychologist on a regular basis because of my MS. Due to the fact that I guess the brain changes because of the disease, so that also sort of affects our behavior or mental state. I think there's a relation between that.
Or was that your choice, or did someone tell you to go and see a psychologist?
It was my choice. I asked
Wonderful.
to have help. Yeah.
Once again, wisdom.
Yeah.
It's true. Some people refuse to see a psychologist because they feel, no, I can handle it myself.
Yeah.
And, sometimes they don't talk to people.
Yeah.
And then it kind of gets worse, So
Yeah.
it's always good to
Talk.
be able to see a professional, especially. Because sometimes you go and see your friends, right? Your friends might not be the ideal people to give you the best advice.
Absolutely not. Never.
Yeah.
Michael?
I was just going to say, I think the support network is absolutely critical for anyone with any chronic illness, MS included, and for me, definitely, I think we could all subscribe to that. But I think at the same time, which kind of goes hand in hand, being able to ask for help, and when I was younger, I was probably embarrassed about asking, I was too proud. Like Jerry mentioned, I can't drink without a straw. I have really bad tremors in all my limbs. And so for a while there, I just wanted to kind of be proud and try and drink without using a straw. I wouldn't go to a bar and ask for a straw because I'd be too embarrassed to drink a beer through a
With a
straw,
straw,
for example. But I think as I've gotten older and matured, asking for help is really important, and being vulnerable, I think, is really something that can't go overlooked. So I think for all of us, to be honest, I think it's really important. I think it helps build connections, it builds bonds. And I think what you'll find, what I've found myself, when you ask for help, people generally say, yes, what can I do? So I think just put your hand up and ask.
Right.
Yeah. And I think
Let's go out for a beer sometime together.
Let's do it.
All right.
Let's do it.
We'll drink, out of a straw.
Well, no, but you know what? And it's not just maturity. I think it's self-confidence as well. In yourself, that you don't really care what other people think.
Yeah, I think through my education and getting a job and living my life has probably helped build that. And so now, compared to what I was like 20 years ago, like you mentioned, I don't need to worry about those kind of things anymore. It's still, I wouldn't say it doesn't impact me at all, but by and large, I think I'm a lot stronger than I was back when I was 20 years of age, for example.
Yeah.
So, just a life journey. And
It impacts everybody. We all have our low moments as
Of
well,
course.
where we care too much about what other people think,
Yeah.
and then other times we're like, we don't give a flying. You know what?
What?
Nothing.
Say it.
No. I won't be here tomorrow if I do. Well, if you want to find out more about the Multiple Sclerosis Society of Singapore, you can go to MSSS, that's SSS.sg. They've got a lovely website. all
Is
the
yellow
events
your corporate color?
Orange, actually.
Orange.
Yes, everyone's wearing yellow.
Oh my God, I'm colorblind now.
That was for one of our
Like a run? Was it a
event.
run?
Yes. So
Looks
if
like a
you
run.
are joining the Stanchart Marathon this year, you will, because we are there every year with our orange T-shirt. I don't know why it was yellow that year.
Oh, so that is yellow.
It is yellow.
Oh my
It
I
goodness.
think it's,
I got a shock there for a while.
it's yellow. Yeah. You usually get the orange T-shirt.
This is orange.
Yeah, okay.
So support us for the run because it's our annual
Amazing.
fundraising.
Okay.
Not for the society, for the MS Assistance Fund, which is a fund held by NUHS to help the less privileged in terms of like medical funding.
Right. Do you guys take part in the relay?
No.
No.
No. Okay.
I was
Michael?
just going to say on what Shannon mentioned there. So the drug that we're both on costs about $36,000 a year to pay for,
$36,000 a year?
Yeah.
Wow.
or
Oh.
$40,000 a year. So what that
Increase?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow.
So that the MS fund basically helps people who can't afford or don't have insurance to pay for medication,
Okay.
which is really important. So that's kind of why we try and
Raise
support that.
money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we'll
Let's
go back
talk
on
about
air
that, yeah.
and we'll focus on that now.
Yeah.
I think that's very important. Ollie Murs featuring Flowrider, Troublemaker. That's FD for you. Always the troublemaker.
The quietest
whole
one.
morning I've been quiet. No?
Quietest one. Poor guy.
Even one usually the troublemaker.
Oh, Shannon jumped on that.
Yeah, I know.
Children for children.
I'm just sitting here today. I'm
Okay.
just
So we're talking to Shannon as well as Michael from MSSS. If you want to find out more, Multiple Sclerosis Society Singapore, it's msss.sg for more information. How can we help? If the public were to help, how can we help the Multiple Sclerosis Society in general?
Because we know the medication costs a lot. For example, Michael, in terms of the medication that you pay for, it's close to $40,000 a year. Same for you, Shannon. What about, for people who can't afford it, right? How can Singaporeans help?
So for people who don't have insurance or can't afford, which is obviously very prohibitive costs, we have, end of this year, we support the Standard Chartered Marathon in terms of there's an event called the MS Rain or Shine, we run for MS. So we walk or run 10 kilometres. I walk 10 kilometres. I walk with a limp, but it takes me about 3 hours, but I'll get there and do it. So we do that every year to raise money for people who can't afford it. Medication-wise, and in terms of supporting the society, what I would say, and I guess hope people can do, go to our website. We also have an Instagram handle, I think MSSS, a lot of S's, MSS Singapore, also a Facebook page, and so please join those or follow those pages. We'll have further activities coming up over the next 3, 6, 12 months, so please stay tuned. I think we're just building the society as we speak, so we're still in the process of building out events and further things we can do to help raise that awareness and education. But please go to our website, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn as well. So on all the socials, so please sign up. And we've got the run in December.
It's great that you guys are planning all these events. Is there a way, say, corporates want to help you guys directly?
As in donate money?
Yeah.
Yes.
Please.
Yes, please.
Now's the time.
They get in touch with you, or how do they do it?
Yes, they can. I guess they can email me. Okay, we are also actively trying to get grant sponsorship, from pharma companies, from corporate companies we have not approach. We only approach the pharma companies because they are usually the ones donating to us. But yes, please, if you would like to sponsor any of our events, activities, you would like to donate money to the society, you can go onto the website, and then there's contact information that you can.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah. Great.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Shannon. Thank you, Michael, for joining us today. And thank you so much, Jerry, for bringing these two beautiful people in the studio today.
I'm glad that they are here. So I'm going to end with a quote.
I was about to go. Ladies and gentlemen, silence. It is time for Jerry's quote.
It's not mine. If we remember the author Louisa May Alcott and her book Little Women, and I'm going to borrow a statement from Amy March. If we remember Amy March, she's the rebellious one. She's not the writer. She's not Beth, who is the sickly one. She's the rebellious one. And she says, "I'm not afraid of storms, for I am learning how to sail my ship."
Oh, nice. Love that.
I love it. For once, I understand your quote. The past few weeks have been pretty deep quotes. That's a good one.
And it affects his whole week. He's just like, oh my gosh, I can't function.
What's that about? Thank you, Jerry. Thank you so much, as always.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Shannon.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Up next, headline news and sports.